Hello, and welcome to episode 23 of the SomerKnits Knitting Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today. I want to say an extra big thank you to everyone who watched my 1-year podcast anniversary episode 2 weeks ago, or over the last 2 weeks, and commented and liked the episode and shared on Instagram. I really appreciate all of your support. Your comments were so wonderful and uplifting, and I really appreciate you being here. If you are new here today, I'm going to follow the normal podcast layout, but I will have a bunch of giveaway winners to present, and I'm very excited about those. So stick around for that. But we're going to jump into just normal stuff now. I will start with finished objects and then works in progress. I don't believe I have any. Actually, that's a lie. I do have my Southern Skeins May box, and I know I talked in the last episode about keeping it a surprise for the prize winner, but the prize is so good that I feel like everyone needs to see it before it gets shipped out. So I will show the May box, both what I got and what the prize winner is getting. And I appreciate Southern Skeins so much for donating that prize box. So let's jump in. I do hope to have time for some live chat at the end, but let's jump right into finished objects. I know I showed what I'm wearing last time as a finished object, but I prefer to see finished objects on people and in action so that you know how they move with the body and how they fit. You can see that there's a little bit of extra room in the yoke because my gauge was a little loose. I'm a very loose knitter, and so that's nothing new. And I prefer things not being super tight fitting, so I'm fine with a little bit of extra room in the yoke. This is the Stripes sweater by Andrea Mowry in a short sleeve version using Fiber for the People Hemp Merino Sport. So it is a 30% hemp, 70% merino sport weight hand dyed yarn. And it gives it these little flecks in the yarn where the hemp doesn't take the color the same way the merino does, and it has a really nice effect. It also has a beautiful drape, but it does have a bit of prickle factor. I do find that to wear this shirt over the course of many hours, I do need a tank or camisole underneath it because right here where I am most sensitive does get a little prickly feeling. It's fine on my arms, doesn't bother me on my back or torso. It's just right up here in the décolletage where it actually does kind of give me a little bit of prickle. So I do prefer to have a tank or camisole under it if I'm going to wear it for a long period of time. It does seem like with a lot of yarns, the colder it is, the less I feel the prickle factor. So I have a feeling in the autumn when it's cooler, I wouldn't necessarily need a layer between, but because it's cooler, I might want that layer between anyway. So I used 5 different colors. I know I talked about this last time, so I'll try and keep it brief, but it's a little dark in here today. It's very cloudy outside. I did try opening the window, but I was getting more shadows. So Compote is the dark purpley blue color. Bougainvillea is the hot pink. Teal Me Away, I believe, is this teal. She has 2 teals. One's the real teal and one's Teal Me Away, I think. I think this one is Teal Me Away. Fleece, I know, is the neutral here, and then Winter is the lighter blue stripe. So I have quite a bit left. I weighed it all out to see how much I had to know what kind of garment I could do with the remainder, and I have enough left that I have a lot of options. I've spoken before about wanting to use the leftovers for a rift tee and color block it instead of stripe it, and I definitely have enough left to do that. I believe that I would do the yoke in this lighter blue, and then it's trying to decide what I would want to color block the rest of it, because I do have enough to make some choices, I could probably pick just 2 other colors for color blocking the remainder. But I've also considered this yarn, this Hemp Merino Sport, for a Douglas Cardi, which is also an Andrea Mowry pattern that is in sport weight. And it's a loose grandpa style cardigan that just has an oversized fit. And I think the drape of this yarn would be really nice for that. I have been seriously tempted to order some fiber for the people, hand dyed for that. I think that the Hemp Merino Sport would look amazing in her sable color because that is her version of black. And the way that the hemp gives it that heathered look, I just think that you would get a really amazing effect with that. And she did mention that she's doing an update of sable soon and that she might dye up a few skeins for that update. And I can't wait to see how they come out because one of the hardest things for me about choosing hand-dyed yarn that's dyed to order is not being able to see all the different bases dyed up or knit up. So it's just hard for me to make a decision. I get analysis paralysis and I get stuck and I don't end up placing the order, which is probably why I had a gift card from last Christmas that I didn't use until last August because I couldn't decide. I just couldn't make up my mind. And I'm sure that that's not completely uncommon. I can't be the only person out there that has a really hard time choosing colors when there's all these choices in front of you and all these amazing bases. I know she's got a cotton merino right now that is very tempting, but I showed my summer yarns a couple episodes ago and I do have quite a few and I am trying to use what I have. So I'm trying to keep my yarn orders to a minimum. But that doesn't mean I'm not tempted, and I'm going to talk about that later in the episode. So I don't have any other finished objects. So I don't have any new finished objects for this episode, and that is totally okay. I have cast on a lot of things. Not a lot. A lot for me in that I hadn't finished anything else. But let's jump into works in progress, and let's start with where I am in my test knit. So I did just divide for sleeves over the weekend. And in the US, we had a holiday weekend. So we had a long weekend. Get a drink real quick. And I'm sorry if you can hear my little dog whining. He wants to sit in the chair with me, but this chair is small and it's very hard to do. If he doesn't stop, I might have to grab him and put him behind me. But we had a long weekend at the lake, and I probably could have gotten a lot farther on my Sunkissed CT, except that Saturday was also cast on day for summer sock camp, which we'll get to in just a little bit. But the goal for the cast on, based on the goal dates that Herbgarden Knitwear set for us, the test is through Yarn Pond, and you can set goals to check off. And so the goal for June 1st was to finish the yoke and split for sleeves. And so I did that, not today, but I did it a couple days ago. So here is my Sunkissed CT, and try not to cover my mouth too much. It is so drapey and wonderful. I love the way it looks on. I did put the whole thing on the knitting barber cords last night and put it on, and maybe I'll pop a picture and we'll see, because I was in my nightgown when I did that. But anyway, I just love how it sits. It's very open at the collar, but it's so loose and floaty. It is, I'm using Holst Yarn Coast, which is 55% lamb's wool and 45% cotton. And it is 50 grams is 383 yards. So it's basically a lace weight. I'm going to grab the dog. And he's just going to have to like find himself some space. Hi, little face. Anyway, so it is basically a lace weight yarn, but it is a cotton and wool blend. And one thing I did not know about this yarn going into this, because I was really just searching for a yarn to match weight with the GGH Lacy that Hannah had used for the original sample. I did not know how easy it is to break Holst Coast. And I learned how easy it is to break it when I had gotten to my very last increase round for the yoke and dropped a half an increase. And they're unusual increases because the whole thing is knit in linen stitch. If you're not familiar with linen stitch, is it focusing on it? It's a knit one, slip one. So each round is, every 2 rounds basically equals 1 full round of knitting. So you use a bigger needle because the fabric can end up very dense. But I had dropped a half an increase, and trying to fix it with like a crochet hook and a smaller needle and stuff and get it back on the needle, eventually the yarn just broke, and it broke down a row because I was on the round after the increases. So it broke down a round. And so I had to unknit 400 stitches almost worth of, because I had to unknit a whole round plus some. So it was at least 400 stitches of linen stitch with increases. It was torturous. It took me an entire evening just to unknit that far, which sounds ridiculous, but it's true. And then I had to cut the damaged part because it had broken completely, and I tied it off to make sure it didn't fall, and then went through unknitting. So I cut the truly damaged part and rejoined the yarn, and got going again. So it means I will have extra ends to weave in at the end, which I hate. But you know, that's sometimes unavoidable. Anyway, so I lost like 2 nights. I lost the night I discovered the issue and the whole next night trying to fix it, of knitting. And so I was very frustrated at that point. And I still needed to finish the yoke depth before being able to split for sleeves. And so I put it in timeout for a minute, and I took a pause, and I cast on something that I'd been wanting to cast on. Sorry for the crinkling. Oh, I left it upstairs, so I might have to run get that real quick. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. I had been working on this while watching TV with my kids the other night, and I ended up leaving the bag upstairs. But in my new bag that I showed last time from Rows and Seams, this is my camping themed bag. I have my newest cast on, which I was inspired by the Oddball Knit Along to cast this yarn on. And this yarn I showed end of February, early March, because it was a souvenir from my trip to Yellowstone. And you can see it in the skein here. I have it in the yarn cozy so it doesn't fall apart. It's a self-striping sock yarn by Two Sisters Yarn Company. And it is called Cottontail, Peter Cottontail. It is a self-striping. It is hand-dyed in Billings, Montana. And I cast on a Musselburgh hat. And I'm still at the very beginning, still doing the increases. But another reason I wanted to get this cast on is I agreed to do some work next week. And it's the kind of work where I'm going to spend a bit of time sitting, waiting on instructions and things. And I'm going to need something mindless that I don't need to look at. And I didn't really have anything that fit that bill right now. The linen stitch, I've gotten into the body of the Sunkissed CT, and I'm probably to the point where I could mostly do the linen stitch without looking, but I'd be afraid I would not pay attention when I had to stop to do something and then get off pattern and not be looking at it and not realizing it would be awful. So, Musselburgh hat and self-striping Peter Cottontail. It is going to be so amazingly adorable and pastel, and yes, it is for me, and I'm very excited about it. So anyway, still on the increases, just started. Really appreciating that the pattern was updated with more gauges, because I do believe that this is going to fall into those finer gauges. The yarn is really fine even for sock yarn. So I had started on US size 3s, which are 3.25 millimeter needles, and I did not like the fabric. It was loose, and you could see that my knitting wasn't even and stuff. So I recast on I just went down to US 2.5s, but 3 millimeter needles. And I think the fabric is much better, much more even. And I know blocking will help even things out, but if I already didn't like the fabric in the very beginning, there was no reason to keep going. I was not going to suddenly fall in love with it. So, that's in this bag, and I'm hoping that by the end of this week, I've put in just a little bit of time here and there and gotten it to the point where it is just knitting in the round, so that I'm just working on the tube portion of the Musselburgh while I'm running the light board. So my next work in progress is, you've seen before, and it is still the Daily Socks by Summer Lee. And I haven't done a whole lot. We've decided, I can't remember if I mentioned this in the last episode. We've decided they're for my son. So now the foot is very close to being done. I'm going to try them on him again this evening, I hope, and figure out how much longer I need to go before I hit the toe. He's very excited about these. They were already cast on, so they are not part of summer sock camp. And I need to look at the rules. Is it whole pairs or individual socks that count? Because the second sock will definitely be cast on during summer sock camp unless I end up letting these just linger. So very excited about those. Still just putting in a few rows here and there when we are places where I have to wait on something. I'm just keeping this in my backpack. It's kind of a no rush project. I go back and forth every year on, do I want to make hats and socks and things for my kids and set them aside and give each person a box at Christmas that has their new things? Or do I want them to use them right away and go ahead and give them to them as each thing is finished? And it's so hard to choose. Especially with the hats, because in Oklahoma, I find that if I wait until Christmas to give it to them, then they don't have a super long time of still needing it after. So it just depends. Every year, the weather can be a bit waffly. So ups and downs. But, so I don't know, like, am I going to knit those socks and set them aside for Christmas, or am I going to finish them and he's going to run off with them right away? I'm sure he would choose run off with them right away, because that's how he feels about most things that I make him, that he should be allowed to take them as soon as I'm done. So if you have little ones that you knit for, I'd love to know what you do. Do you save them and gift them, or do you just like knit and hand it over right away? Especially if they're old enough to know the difference. I understand, like a baby, you want to like put that garment on them immediately, or if you're knitting ahead, as soon as it fits, because babies just don't fit into things for very long, and there is no reason to wait. But for older kids who are growing a little more slowly, what is your preference? What is it you do with your gift knitting for them, or your small accessory knitting? My next work in progress is my summer sock camp cast on. So if you are not familiar with summer sock camp, it is hosted by the Crazy Sock Lady, and you can check her out here on YouTube. I'll link it below. But it is basically a giant sock knit along. I did try to score some Summer Sock Camp goodies. I particularly wanted, I think it was the Bumblebee Acres, I think that's the name of it, yarn in the Corriedale sock, but I was unable to score any of the Summer Sock Camp items on Saturday when they were released, but that's okay. I did get a Summer Sock Camp t-shirt, which I'm trying to shrink because it came in a little too big. And I did order a Summer Sock Camp patch. Sorry for the reflection there. But I was thinking, because I also got this canvas backpack with fake leather straps from my mom. It was just something she had laying around. So she was kind of destashing, and she had 3 of them in different colors. This one happens to actually be navy. I know it's showing up really dark here. But I was thinking that it might be fun to have a canvas bag that I could actually put fun knitting things on. I do have a pin banner for my pins, but for patches and things, I thought that could be fun because it's canvas all the way around and has these faux leather straps, but it snaps closed and it buckles closed, and it has tiny pockets both outside and inside. So it could make for a pretty decent knitting bag. It's pretty decent size, but still could be carried around like a backpack, which is nice. So I might put my Summer Sock Camp patch on that, and we'll just see. But it could end up being analysis paralysis again, but hopefully I'm trying to make a point of actually using the things that I buy. So my cast on for Summer Sock Camp is another Summer Lee pattern. This is her weekend Shorty socks, and I have done the cuff in 2 colors like in the pattern. I have only done the heel in 1 color. In the pattern, she does this part of the heel flap in a color, and then she does the heel turn in another color. I just didn't want that many ends to weave in, honestly. The main color is a Southern Skeins yarn from like 2020, and I misplaced the label, I think. Oh, nope, I found it. So the main color is Hot Gossip, and then I think this turquoise came with it, and it is called Tealing Chatty. But then in my bucket of just random minis, I pulled out a yellow and a pinky color. It's reading a little red, but it's mostly pinky to pair with it. I kind of looked at all the speckles in the sock yarn and just tried to grab things that would go well. So that I could have more color stripes in there, because it is motivating and fun to be moving on to the next color. So that really helped me get through like the cuff and everything. It's nice to have little mini goals within the larger goal of making the sock. Obviously I didn't finish it in a weekend, and I definitely didn't finish a pair in a weekend. I am a slow sock knitter. But I did spend cast on day and the next day mostly working on the socks in between all the other things that I was doing with the kids for the holiday weekend and stuff. I'm keeping it in one of my Southern Skeins bags. This is the Firefly bag. If you've been a longtime viewer, you might remember that I used the Firefly yarn that came in this bag to make a raglan for my son that I striped with a dark navy, and I used the pattern Good Old Raglan, and it is so cute. And it's so sad that it's warm right now and he can't wear it, because it is so adorable and it is so soft. I feel like I'm starting to talk fast again, and so I need to just like slow it down for just a second. Those are my works in progress. I'm looking around to make sure I haven't missed anything. Anything else hasn't really been worked on. I know I mentioned in the last episode that I have been putting time into my elf mail again, and I am loving that growth, but it's not any different visually than when the last time I shared it. So still plugging away on that occasionally. It is nice to be moving along there, and I am excited for that finished object. I've not made any progress on my Stria cardigan, even though I keep saying I'm going to. But I really, I want to finish this test knit because sometimes test knits really stress me out. Like, I know that I'm the one that signed up for it, and I keep doing that because I see a garment and I'm like, oh, I love it, and the test knit will give me a deadline and I will finish it and then I will have it. And so I do like that aspect, and I know when I get to the end of the test knit words, that I will truly appreciate that. Like, I will be very excited to have the finished object. But the having a deadline also kind of stresses me out. It's weird because I'm very deadline oriented. Like at work, if I don't have a deadline for something, it's harder for me to get it done. And so, like, having the deadline, knitting the tee is good in that I know with how slow the progress has felt, I would have set it aside by now. But it's also stressful in that I'm like, will I get it done in time because I've committed to do this thing? So both sides of that coin, it's not like the kind of stress that takes over your world. It's just kind of pressing on me a little bit, and meaning I can't just go cast on all the things that I'm thinking about. You know, I have other summer shirts in mind that I talked about in my summer knitting episode and stuff, and so many. But it's always like that, right? Where Professor Pearl calls it dream knitting, but there's like 10 things I want to cast on today, but I can't. You know, and right now it's like my brain is saying you can't because you have this test knit, but really, in reality, I wouldn't anyway because I would want to finish a couple of things before casting on the next thing. So easy to blame the test knit, but not necessarily 100% the test knit's fault. If you are into knitting and camping, check out Smeeny Beanie Knits for her really fun camping knitting related stickers. Just thought I'd mention that real quick. No reason, just had it on my cup and thought about it. So I guess maybe you're wondering about prize winners from the 1-year podcast anniversary. Let's go through the pattern winners first. I did use a random number generator. I put all of the comments in there and did that, and then the extra entries for the bag and the Southern Skeins box all went in there for those. It happens that every winning draw was a comment, so I have screenshot the comments. And I will put them up here, and please contact me either on Instagram or through my email address here if you're a winner, and I will get those prizes out to you. For the patterns, it is either going to be the designer can either put it in your Ravelry library usually, or send you a code that you can put in once you choose your pattern. So it depends on what you use to store your patterns and how the designer wants to do it. So the first one that I want to announce is thank you so much to Penrose Knits, Laura, for donating a copy of the souffle top. This is her original souffle that is mohair single strand on top, double strand the rest of the way down from the ruffle. And it's just a gorgeous design, and I can't wait to knit one. But the winner of the souffle top is Tressa Smith. Thank you so much for your comment, for watching. I appreciate you 100%. And then the next designer that I would like to thank is Woolly Witchcraft. And She has both a headscarf pattern and some different sock patterns. There's a collection called the Biscuit Tin Socks. There are some colorwork socks. There's the bear scarf. So a few choices there, and I believe you get to choose your pattern for this one. So the winner for the Woolly Witchcraft free pattern is Leah H, and this is her comment here. I have notes, so I'm sorry I'm looking down. I really want to make sure that I don't leave anybody out. The next designer that I want to thank for supporting the podcast is Britt of The Marvelous Mrs. Maker, and she has donated a copy of her Afterglow top pattern. And this is an amazing top because the pattern is so versatile. There are different options. The strap shaping is just amazing to start with, but there are different options for finish, whether you're going for a cropped peplum or a tunic length top. Lots of choices here. And the winner of the Afterglow top pattern by The Marvelous Mrs. Maker is Sue Ann Miller. And this is her comment. Please contact me and I will get you in touch with Brett or get you the code. I will see how she wants to do it. Just checking my notes. We have been through the Souffle top, the Woolly Witchcraft pattern, and the Afterglow top by the Marvelous Mrs. Maker. The last pattern that we have to give away is your choice of one free pattern from Summer Lee Designs. Just one caveat real quick. Summer Lee agreed to donate a pattern and said she was going to generate a coupon code and send it to me. She has been on vacation and I have not managed to get a hold of her since then. So I'm going to send her an email with the winner's name and whether she sends the coupon code to me or sends it directly to the winner, either way works. If for some reason she doesn't come through, I will pay for a pattern of your choice by Summer Lee. But I think it's just a matter of she's been busy and out of town and we haven't managed to connect. So the winner of the free pattern from Summer Lee Designs is Laura Phillips. And I know Laura's been a longtime viewer and I thank her so much for her support. This is Laura's comment and congratulations, pattern winners. Now, I know you're probably waiting for the two, I don't want to call them big winners, but physical objects that have to be sent out. And the first one, I'm going to apologize for the crinkling and the leaning, but I do want to show them again. Because the first one is a bag that almost matches my current most used project bag. Woo, lots of crinkling, so sorry. It is a drawstring large size project bag. It can hold quite a bit and it is fully reversible to a beautiful floral print inside. In fact, if it was me, I don't know, I might want to keep this side out just because look at all the bright blooms on there. I love this bag. It is gorgeous. This is the fabric that lines the inside of my bag also. So this bag is donated by Rose and Seams, and it was donated specifically for one of you all. I have purchased the bags that I have from her. So this donation was specifically for a viewer. And the winner of the Rose and Seams bag is, I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, it is Alyssa B. I am sorry if I mispronounced that. I know it could go another way. My name gets mispronounced all the time. And so I sincerely apologize if I mispronounce anyone's names. But contact me with your mailing address and I will send this bag out to you straight away. I'm very excited to be able to share her work and just pass this along to one of you. It's a beautiful bag. Last prize to show goes with my only acquisition for this time. So once again, I'm going to apologize for the crinkling. I might have put mine away for safekeeping. Oh, no, I found it. Okay. So, I got the most recent Southern Skeins sock bag. It used to be called a sock box. It used to come in a box. I'm not sure if she calls it a box or a bag anymore. I think it still says box on the website. Doesn't come in a box anymore, though, because it's in a more eco-friendly packaging. So, I did what I usually do and ordered 2 skeins. And it came in this glorious pinky color. The theme is flamingos. And so I was very excited about that. So the main color is called Yard Ornament, and the mini skein is called Feeling Beaky. So the mini skein is speckled and kind of a charcoal color, and the main skein is this pinky peachy with some hints of hot pink and light pink and cream. And so I got 2 skeins, which is awesome because I can totally do a top with these very summery colors. I don't know if I will use the minis as an accent because it's such a stark contrast. I definitely would if I was making socks with this, but as a garment, I may not. I might save the minis for something else. And so then my bag came with, and the winner's bag is slightly different, but equally adorable. So it came with this little tin full of locking stitch markers, bright, colorful locking stitch markers, which is super handy. So I can throw that in my notions bag now. I've been waiting to show you first, and then I'm going to add that to my notions bag. It also came with an adorable flamingo progress keeper, a sticker that says, "Life is all about balance," a stash tee, an unscented hand cream, Eucalyptus wool wash, and a candy. So those were the goodies in my Southern Skeins box. And then my bag is this beautiful flamingo print. So perfect for summer, and I absolutely love it. But the winner's bag is super cute too. And I'm a little bit jealous because if you've been here a while, you might have heard me mention that we have chickens. So we have a couple dogs and we have chickens. We're down to just 2 chickens right now because old age for most of them actually. But we are planning to get more, and we've been looking at chickens. And then the winner's prize came in the mail, and it was this super cute farm print, and I love it. So it's a pinky background, but it's this adorable farm print, and it is a skein of the Flamingo yarn with the mini. So it is a sock set. And then there is the Life is All About Balance sticker, the Flamingo Progress Keeper, a hand cream, a Eucalyptus sample, a tea. It's all in there. I don't want to take it apart. I want to leave it all pristine for the winner. And really jealous of this part because I didn't get one of these. There is a sloth pin. It's a sloth in a basket of yarn. It is so cute. So cute. So this awesome prize package is going to Risa Jackson. I hope I said that right. Please contact me, get me your shipping address so that I can send this out to you straight away. And a big, huge thank you to Southern Skeins, who donated this prize, especially for you guys and to celebrate my 1-year podcast anniversary. I appreciate her so much. So that is all the prizes. I'm going to apologize for crinkling again, but I'm trying to keep things in bags to keep them pristine since we do have dogs. And I don't want dog hair to invade any of the gifts. So thank you so much for celebrating my 1-year podcast anniversary with me. Like, it means so much to me that each and every one of you are here. Every like, every subscribe just warms my heart, and I just love connecting with the greater knitting community. I don't feel like I've had the local connection that I crave, and I have really felt so fulfilled by the connections I have made across the globe via this podcast and watching others' podcasts and getting to know people on Instagram chats, and I've joined a couple of Discord channels. I do not have my own, but I've joined some and have really enjoyed chatting and sharing with people. I've joined a couple of international knit nights, and that's been amazing. So I just want to thank each and every person who has left a comment, hit that thumbs up, subscribed to the podcast, shared it with a friend, mentioned it on Instagram, sent me a message, anything and everything. And thank you so, so much. You all mean the world to me. I don't know. I could keep saying that over and over, but you would probably get sick of it. So, I don't know where we're at time-wise because I've had to stop and start a few times, whether it's for dogs or forgetting things or the screen freezing, because that happens at least once every time I film. But just a little bit of life chat. The kids are out of school and we have officially started all things summer. Last week we had a more chill week and they just took the week off. The week before that, on their first day out of school that I was also off work, we went to the botanic gardens locally and went ahead and got a membership so that we can spend more time there. They have a wonderful kids area and they really enjoy going. It's a lovely place. It's a gorgeous place to take a picnic, but I really like that we can just go spend time out there. So that was a lot of fun. They've got camps and day camps coming up that they are so excited about. I'm excited about going and doing things with them and not being a slave to the school schedule for a while. And I'm ready for summer, like totally ready. It stormed so much last week that it didn't feel super summery. It still felt like early spring, which I know that's normal weather for around here, but I don't know if you can hear my dog snoring, but he is definitely snoring. We were also having our fence replaced because parts of it were falling down, and the storming and the rain definitely delayed that. So instead of 4 days of walking our dogs on leashes every single time they wanted to go out, it was like 8 days. And it felt like an eternity. But we did go up to the lake for the weekend, so they got to have a little wandering around time. I'm just too worried about them at home near the street. But the Pyrenees was super frustrated because he loves to run, just run full out. And even long walks and stuff just weren't cutting it. He just really, really wanted to run. So yesterday evening, after the fence was finished and the last gate was finally closed, he had the time of his life just running around the backyard, waving his head in the air. It was amazing to watch, and he is so happy to be able to do that again. The little dog was not quite as affected. He doesn't run off, so he's been still able to go outside off leash because he goes and comes right back to the door, and it hasn't been an issue. So I don't know if he even noticed that there's a new fence, but the big dog definitely noticed. And so bonus is that they cleaned up along our fence line and have given us a head start on actually doing some of that yard work cleanup that we really need to do and we tend to put off because, you know, a lot of times when it's a choice between yard work and knitting, I pick knitting. And kind of depend on my husband to poke and prod me to go outside and do some of that yard work. Like our vegetable garden this spring never got cleaned up. And part of that is me working so much during tax season that any time where I had a little bit of downtime, I just wanted some time to knit. And I just didn't really want to be doing anything that felt like work. Even though I love the garden, once I get out there and get into it, it doesn't feel like work. It's the process of getting myself dressed and making myself go outside that feels like work. So I don't know if you can relate, but it's kind of like sometimes kids have trouble switching gears when they're like really into one thing. Even like it's time to leave and you tell them that and they just have a lot of trouble switching gears. So sometimes when I'm really into like watching a podcast and knitting or whatever, I have a lot of trouble putting that down and switching gears and moving on to the next thing because I'm so hyper focused into what I'm doing. So yeah, it's just how that has shaken down this year, and it's all right. We may just till the gardens under and give them a year to rest. One bed got cleaned out, so I do have tomato plants in one bed, and then the blackberry bed is always blackberries. So it'll keep doing its thing. We do have figs on our fig tree for the first time. This is our third year. We've had 2 fig trees. This is their third year, so they're not very big yet, but the bigger of the 2 actually has tiny figs all over it this year, and that's very exciting. And then I was afraid a late freeze had gotten the apple trees, but both apple trees have apples on them, and so that's exciting too. I would love to have more fruit trees, but we have so many oak trees in our yard that most of our yard is shaded, and there's not a lot of sunny spots to plant more fruit trees without losing the garden space. So just one of those dilemmas. I'm not sure I have much else going on. Work is work, and the lake was wonderful over the weekend. The wind was blowing so hard we didn't spend a ton of time out on the boat. It's not our boat. It's not our lake house, but we were visiting. So we didn't spend a lot of time out on the water. But we did get out there for a little bit because the kids definitely wanted to swim and the water was so cold, but nobody else would get in with them. So I did end up having to sit on the floating lily pad island thing that we have while they played, which was fine. I can tell where I didn't get the sunscreen very well on my back, but I will do better next time. Words. Sometimes words just escape me. It's like I'm thinking a thing and I can't quite get it out of my mouth. And I'm sure I'm not alone in that. The other thing that I'm really excited about with summer is having a little more time to cook at home. Like we grilled the other night, and I did enough grilled chicken to do multiple meals throughout the week, but we also grilled some lamb kofta and corn on the cob and asparagus, and I love all of the fresh veggies of summer and spring. And I know you can go to the grocery store and buy veggies year round, but there is just something about when things are in season at the peak of their flavor, and you can buy more things locally. And I'm just very excited about all of the veggies and fresh things and summertime cooking. So in the fall, I'll be very excited about soups and stews and crock pot cooking and things like that. But right now I'm very excited about fresh salads and grilled veggies and all those things that are in season. I'm definitely a seasonal cook. So, and sometimes it's hard for me to put the knitting down and cook. It's like, I could fix something fast and I could keep knitting, or I could fix something that takes a little longer but is going to taste amazing. So I'm definitely getting myself back into the cooking more, doing more with our meals, because I also want to get myself back into making sure I'm always putting healthy things in my body, because then I know that I'm less tired and I feel better. I don't necessarily want to make weight loss a goal at this point. I just want to make making sure my body is healthy as my main goal right now. So that's where I am with stuff, with life, with all the chattering on. I guess I could have been knitting while I was chattering, but that's okay. I just really appreciate you for coming by today. I would say this is going to be a quick episode, but I really don't know once I put all the bits together if it is or not. I don't know what length episodes you prefer, if you like the goal to be like an hour, or if you prefer a more bite-sized podcast, or if you like the really long rambly ones. So feel free to leave a comment telling me what you prefer as far as podcast length, like what is ideal to you. I'm not saying you wouldn't watch it one way or the other, but like ideally when you sit down to watch a podcast, like what are you hoping for lengthwise? For me, I tend to watch the longer ones in bits and pieces. I don't necessarily have an hour and 45 minutes to sit down and watch one podcast, so I might watch 30 minutes of it and then later watch 30 more minutes of it, and just get things in as I can. But I was just curious what your thoughts were. If you're a winner, make sure you contact me so that I can get you your prizes. And thank you so much for being here with me today. I hope by the next episode that I have something finished to show you. And I really hope it's that tee. Now that I'm on the body and fewer stitches around, I hope that I can fly through that length, but it is very delicate yarn. It is a fine stitch. So we'll see. It could take the whole time. The Testknit goes almost to the very end of June. The next goal time is, I believe, to have the body finished by the 22nd. I believe there's still sleeves to put on after the body, and then of course blocking and taking finished photos. So I believe the deadline is June 28th. I really hope to have it finished long before that and be planning my road trip knitting for this summer and stuff like that. So lots of goals. I write a lot of these little things, notes to myself in a book, and then kind of go through them later. But I really process things better when I talk through them. So sometimes I process these things out loud on the podcast, and you all are there to help me along the way. So thank you so much, and I will see you next time.